Hey familia, Miranda here, and welcome to another episode of First Viewing, where I share my thoughts and recommendations with you guys on films that I watched for the very first time. So I do have quite the little load to share with you guys today. I have been trying to get a little bit more watching in. We did have a little family movie night the other night, so I have several from there. So we're just gonna go on ahead and get right on into things. All right, so first up, I actually just popped this one in before filming, and that is Dolls. Yeah, I'd never seen this one, you guys. I know it's gotten like a lot of hype and everything. And let me just say, had I have actually watched this when I was a kid, I would probably be creeped the hell out by dolls in general. Because there's definitely some creepy looking dolls in here. And once they start moving and everything, they're kind of like little facial expressions. Definitely creepy for sure. But I thoroughly enjoyed this one. It's a quick watch, you guys. It's only like 77 minutes long. So not bad. But basically you have just these random people. They get kind of stuck in a storm, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and they end up at this mansion where this old couple lives, and they're these doll makers and stuff. And so yeah, their dolls and whatnot come to life. And start, killing off the kind of bad people, I would say. The little girl Judy, she was awesome. I really enjoyed her. She was super cute. And even the guy Ralph in here, I really enjoyed him, like his character in general. Actually, really, even though the old couple, they're a little creepy, I definitely enjoyed them too. Obviously, the parents are just total. Yeah, they're not good people, you guys. So I did not like them or whatever. But yeah, this was definitely a fun one. Definitely super cheesy, but I really enjoyed this one. It was a good watch, you guys. Highly recommend this if you have never seen it, which I'm pretty sure most of you have. But if you like, kind of like killer doll type films, yeah, this one for sure, a creepy one. Next up is Mother's Day. So I didn't quite watch this one on Mother's Day. Watched it a couple days after. I'd been meaning to get this one, didn't get to it last year, and so I was like, you know what? Even though it's not exactly on Mother's Day, I'm still gonna watch this. And I thought this was overall okay. It's one of those things where you have all these different characters in here, and kind of by the end, they're kind of paths cross. So it's kind of like intertwining stories in a way. None of the performances were like way over the top. They were all just fine for me. But yeah, there's a couple of moments in here that definitely a little, heartfelt, kind of a punch to the heart kind of thing. But overall, I thought this was pretty solid. I thought they did okay for, what this film is and everything. And I do enjoy those types of films where the stories all kind of come together. There's also obviously like more people in here, like lots of familiar faces and everything in this film, other than who's here on the cover and everything. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one overall for what it was. Next up, we have a Hurricane Heist. So I'd heard lots of just kind of bad reviews on this one, you guys. And honestly, I didn't think it was all that terrible. Is it a great film? No, not by any means. But yeah, basically you have this heist taking place in the middle of this freaking hurricane. Like, who does that? But yeah, you have these people. They are robbing the treasury. I did not know. I don't know if that's a legit thing that happens, but old money getting shredded. So they go and they're trying to steal all this old money that's there at the treasury and stuff. And I don't know. It has some good comedic moments in this, you guys. There's a little bit of kind of like dark humor and stuff like that. There was a whole like little conversation on freaking PB&J. Like, what the hell? But yeah, no, the performances weren't necessarily all that great. Like they were kind of, I don't know. Some of the characters in here just weren't all that great, but there was a couple of, solid performances in here from some people. Like, I don't really recognize anybody in here at all. So yeah. But overall, I did not think it was bad. I thought the effects, like the tornado or the hurricane effects, all that kind of stuff were kind of spot on. Didn't think that they looked bad or anything. But overall, I mean, it's a fun kind of little popcorn type flick. Not great, but I enjoyed it overall. All right, so then I did go ahead and check out all three of the Equalizer films. And let me just say, you guys, Denzel is Denzel in here, you guys. This is the kind of performance that you would expect from him. There is lots of action happening in these films. And honestly, his character just will not freaking die. He has like, oh my gosh, I don't know. There were just certain parts I'm like, that is not real, you guys. Like, he would not survive that. But he did. He survived. And so they have 3 films now. Honestly, you guys, I wouldn't mind a 4th one. I would say, though, that the second film itself is probably my least favorite. I don't know. It just didn't really give me the same feel as the other 2 films did. But maybe it's because the other 2 films, the first and the third one, both kind of have deal with the mob. And I don't know. There's just something about the mob that kind of adds to a film, So you have the Russian mob in the first film. This one is more of a, kind of getting even because his partner gets killed. And then the third one, you have basically the Italian mob. So, but the first and third, definitely my favorites. And the second one, my least favorite of the three. But yo, Denzel kicking butt in here. There's actually some scenes in these films that kind of quite surprised me, like some of the kills and stuff. They got a little creative, I will say. So, but I honestly would recommend all three films. Just like I said, the second one, I don't know, it just didn't really give me the same feel as the other two. I don't know. It just, I guess the second one was a little bit more personal to his character, just because it was his like ex-partner that got killed and stuff. But overall, these films are really really great if you're just looking for some good action. Like I said, Denzel kicking butt, being Denzel. I mean, these are his kind of like typical films that we enjoy and stuff. So definitely some good ones. All right, so next up is this film here called Piggy, otherwise known as Cerdita, because this is a film in Spanish, but basically you have this girl right here. She gets bullied by a bunch of, people, kids, like, I don't know if they're like necessarily from school, but like neighborhood kids and stuff. Her family owns this like meat shop and everything. And yeah, basically, she is getting bullied. There's this stranger, this weird, odd stranger who witnesses kind of the whole thing, and he ends up going off and kidnapping these girls that have been bullying her. And yeah, she sees the whole thing, but doesn't, tell the police or anything or anybody about the situation. And from there, this movie was a little weird, you guys, because her and this random stranger who definitely gave off to like the total creep kind of vibes. They kind of grow this sort of, I don't know if you want to call it like an infatuation with each other or what, but it was just weird, you guys. It was a little uncomfortable, to be honest. But I did overall enjoy this film. There was certain aspects of it that could have been better, like certain things that I wish would have like played out a little bit differently and stuff. But by the end of the film, it kind of gives you a little bit of a message, just like doing right from wrong, because she does end up tracking down where these girls are and everything. And she has all these decisions to make by the end and stuff. But bullying is tough, you guys. I went through it when I was younger and everything, kind of for obvious reasons. But I did overall enjoy this one. But like I said, there's just certain little things in here that I wish would have been done differently or played out differently. But overall, it's a pretty good watch. A little tough. All right, next one I have here is this film called Being Flynn. You got Paul Dano and Robert De Niro in here, and both delivered some excellent performances. This is a film that I wasn't too sure about. Like, I was like, didn't really know what to expect. I'd never really heard much on it. And for whatever reason, it was just like in the back of my mind. So I finally decided to pop it in, and I enjoyed the heck out of this one, you guys. It is a little bit of a tough watch, I will say, because this is actually based on the memoir of Nick Flynn, who actually ended up marrying Lily Tomlin, who's actually in this film as well. Not Lily Tomlin, Lily Taylor. She's in this film for like a short bit as well. But basically, it's this guy right here. He actually ends up working at a homeless shelter, and it just so happens that his estranged father kind of comes into this picture after all these years, and he actually spends day after day at this shelter where his son works. And so it's kind of a lot of them like bickering and just kind of coming, I don't know, getting to kind of know each other, since the father's been absent for whatever, for many years and stuff. And I will say it was definitely, I think, a good insight as to how these shelters actually work, because obviously I knew nothing about that. I don't know anybody that's like been in a shelter or anything like that. So it was kind of a view into the life at the shelter, how things kind of work, like the step-by-step kind of process. And so, obviously I don't know exactly how much of it is true, but I'm assuming it would be, since he worked there and his father was there and everything, and it's based on his memoir. So, it has to be kind of how everything, works there and whatnot. But and the father figure in here, Robert De Niro, like I said, this is probably his most unlikable character ever. Like, seriously, like, his performance was so freaking good, but it's just one of those characters that you just really wanted to hate and just kind of reach to the TV and punch him in the face, because he was just a total like douche. But you could tell like he was like kind of like mentally unstable, and like he just kind of had a lot going on. He's this supposed like writer or whatever, but he's like a total failure kind of writer, if you will, and stuff. And yeah, so Nick Flynn actually ends up turning into a writer himself and everything. And he wrote his memoir, he wrote a book of poems, and I forget what else. But yeah, I'm actually kind of curious now to read the memoir itself and just kind of see compare it, to the film and everything. But I do highly recommend this one. It is, like I said, it's a bit of a tough watch just for the matters of the homeless shelter lifestyle and everything. There's a little bit of addiction to drugs, addiction to alcohol in here. So I mean, there's a little bit of trigger warning, here and there and whatnot. But it's really really good, you guys. I do recommend this one. All right, so next up we have The Great Outdoors. Yeah, I can't believe I hadn't seen this one, you guys. And overall, I thought this was a pretty fun watch. Great little kind of family flick. I mean, John Candy and Dan Aykroyd together, they are hilarious. Definitely a good time with this one. And it's just, the comedy in here is your typical, comedy from them and whatnot. And, obviously the setting in the great outdoors, I really enjoyed that part. But yeah, you have John Candy, his family goes on vacation. And it just so happens that I don't quite understand the relationship between them because they say like it's his something like brother-in-law, but it's not like, I don't know, it's confusing the way they word it. Like if you actually read the back here, the way it's explained is kind of interesting. But anywho, they're somehow related relatives, whatever. And so he pops in to basically kind of ruin his vacation. And he's all kind of there for like all the wrong reasons and stuff. And so there's just a lot of like back and forth between them. The kids kind of take a liking, John Candy's kids kind of take a better liking to Dan Aykroyd's character and everything. And so, yeah, overall it's a fun watch, you guys. So definitely if you're into the whole kind of outdoorsy thing, obviously if you love the two of them, then you gotta watch this one if you have not. Next up is this film here called Sting. This one too, I really enjoyed. This came as a nice surprise. Now, I'm not huge on spiders, you guys. I hate them. But this one, it was interesting because it's more so like an alien type spider, which is odd, but I had some fun with this one. There's definitely some like good kills. I wasn't too necessarily grossed out by the spider, but there was certain scenes for sure that were a little kind of out there. But yeah, this one, it's like this starts off as this little tiny itty bitty spider that this girl just decides to befriend and take in or whatever. She talks to it and everything, and it just starts to like grow and grow and grow until it gets like super ginormous, hides out in her the apartment building where she's staying and everything. And yeah, so there's some pretty solid kills in here for sure. Some good little bit of gore and everything. But I definitely had fun with this one. I definitely think it was just a fun aspect for it to be like more so an alien spider, not just like your typical spider. So that made it all the more fun. But yeah, definitely one that I would recommend. But yeah, if you're not into spiders, this might not be for you, but definitely a fun one for sure. All right, so next up is Strange Darling. I definitely see why this one got all the hype last year. It is just that good, and it honestly is a masterpiece, you guys. I will say though, I don't know why everybody said that they didn't like see, it coming, like the twist of the film, like I don't know, just right away. I mean, talk about one night stand gone wrong, if that's even really what you want to call it, because there wasn't really anything of that sort actually involved. But your main chick here, she was just so freaking like awkward, and just right away when she started asking questions, or like if the dude was like a killer or something, like I mean, come on, something's off with that already and stuff. And she was just very different, very odd, very strange character in here, and just her actions, her words and everything. It just kind of, throws it off. And so it was interesting to see that, I mean, yeah, for the most part, you don't really hear a lot of like, lady killers or anything like that, seducing men and killing them and stuff like that. So that's why this was kind of a really nice surprise. It was just like a fresh take on the whole thing. So instead of being, a man killer or whatever, seducing women and killing them, you have the opposite thing going here. So I mean, yeah, definitely a nice surprise, and it is actually quite the little thrill ride. It's kind of like cat and mouse kind of thing. The dude's after, her, and she's kind of after him kind of thing. So pretty wild, odd little flick, you guys. But I definitely enjoyed this one. And like I said, I can see why this got all the hype that it did last year. So definitely worth checking out. All right, so a film that I finally got around to watching, and I'm surprised that I'd never seen this one before, that is Coming to America. And I'm gonna have to watch the second one. I hear that one's not as great, but this one, I get why this is a freaking classic. Eddie Murphy is absolutely just hilarious in here. Arsenio Hall, him too. Oh my gosh, they both just deliver awesome performances. And this film is just, it's the type of comedy that you just don't see anymore. Like, this type of comedy just would not be made today. But I thought it was great, you guys. So funny. Even James Earl Jones in here, he was hilarious, you guys. But yeah, obviously he goes to America to try and find his own bride because he's this prince in this who knows where kingdom, and yeah, he doesn't want to have the whole like prearranged marriage type thing. Because I mean, come on, his prearranged wife, whatever he like. Oh my gosh, I would be so annoyed with that. But anywho, yeah, so he goes to America with his I don't his friend, I'll say, or like kind of his caretaker, if you will, if that's what you want to call him. um and yeah, so he ends up finding love with this one chick. She's kind of dating somebody already, but then they kind of get to know each other, spend more time with each other, and this kind of love story, opens up and stuff. And I actually really enjoyed it. I thought there was great chemistry between the two of them and stuff. And yeah, so it's a great little combination of comedy but also romance, but it's not like the overly like lovey-dovey crap that we're sometimes used to. So it's just the right balance there. But definitely a good movie, you guys. If you've not seen this one, which I'm sure most of you probably already have, but I do recommend this one for sure. So definitely looking forward to part two. Don't know how good it's going to be, but definitely one that I would watch again and again. All right, so next one is Bone Tomahawk. So I'd heard a lot of great things on this film. And I gotta say, you guys, that going into this, like, I had a little bit higher expectations, but this was actually kind of a letdown for me. So it just wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset when I watched this one or something, but I just did not get the hype about this one. Like, I knew going in that there was going to be like some, like cannibalism stuff in here, but you guys, it wasn't even like anything over the top or really to be like grossed out by. There is like one iconic scene in here that is very similar to, say, like the iconic scene in the first Terrifier film, like, but instead of a female and instead of a saw, you have a dude and like this hatchet looking type thing made of like bone or something. And the sound effects alone in that part were like, I seriously was gagging at that scene. I'd say more than I like actually with the Terrifier one. I didn't really gag at all, but this one, oh my gosh, those sound effects, man. But yeah, I mean, overall, the performances in here are pretty solid. I will say, I think my favorite in here was Patrick Wilson's character. He was really good. Obviously, he's, trying to save his wife because she gets kidnapped by these native people who are very different looking and stuff. And obviously, they're these cannibals and they're just kind of crazy. I don't know. But there's a lot of actually pretty good gore in here. You do have the whole Western setting because it is a Western horror type film, I guess is what they categorize it. But yeah, so you have, some action. I wouldn't say necessarily a whole lot, but the cannibal people in here though, they're pretty crazy. That's for sure. I mean, there's a couple of gross moments in here, I will say, but nothing too like extreme. And we obviously, out in the desert setting, little dinky town setting, so I mean, it adds a little bit, but I don't know what it was. I just feel like this film was like missing something. I just didn't get the hype about it, you guys. But overall, it was okay. All right, so next up we have Censor. Now, I'm glad that I actually got this on DVD and did not go with the Vinegar Syndrome release that I'd been wanting, because this one actually is not going to be staying in the collection. This was a fine one and done type film. Basically, you have this gal. She works for, like censorship of like horror films and stuff. So kind of says what can stay in the film, what can needs to be taken out, kind of thing. And so she doesn't really remember a certain situation that happened in her life where she was with her younger sister, I think. And she was like supposedly got lost like in the forest or something, abducted. She doesn't really remember. But then a tape shows up that has like a similar setting and as to the area where this supposed situation took place. And so she kind of slowly starts remembering things. I will say this is a bit of a trip, you guys, because it's kind of one of those, doesn't really know what's real, what's not kind of thing. And the ending was just so bizarre. But I don't know, this just wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. It was okay, a fine one and done. Just I don't know, I just expected a little bit more, like more gore, more of like a spook factor, something to this. And it just wasn't that. But overall it was okay, but it's not one that I need to watch again. All right, so this last little bunch is ones that were from our family movie night that we had the other day. So they were all just first time watches or ones that I just had in the collection. I was like, okay, these look like, some good family flicks, so let's go ahead and watch them. But so we have this film here called Mom's Out of Sight. Let me tell you guys, these two kids on the cover right here, nowhere in the film. I don't even think the dog was in the film, you guys. So very misleading. But basically you have this scientist guy. He's created this machine, works for the government, and it is supposedly, what the hell is it supposed to do? Like it changes like your molecular structure or something like that. Like it can turn you from like one person into another person. But what they didn't know is it can also turn you invisible. So you have this couple that they work with him, and so they want to steal this machine, and there's this whole plot scheme, whatever, set up to frame the main scientist guy. Well, the mom, she kind of gets kind of mixed up in the situation, and she's trying to uncover what's actually happening, and the machine turns her invisible. And so that's kind of her way. She takes advantage of it as going sort of undercover, if you will, to investigate and see, who's behind, her husband's like supposed like kidnapping and who's trying to frame him kind of thing and stuff. And so I don't know, you guys, like the performances in here weren't very good. The dad figure, he kind of plays like two different like personalities, which he was actually good. I think he was probably my favorite. The son in here, who's not pictured on the cover, he was actually pretty good too. The mom too, I actually really like her. I don't really recognize any of the names on here, but her face looked pretty familiar. I don't know what I'd seen her in, but overall, like the acting wasn't super great, you guys. This storyline it's definitely a cheesy film, but it will, give you, provide some laughter for sure. But it wasn't anything great, you guys. I mean, would I watch it again? Maybe, like years from now, I'll give it another watch. But I mean, it was, I don't know, it was cheesy, fun family flick, I guess. I don't know. All right, so I remember hearing about Gordy when I was younger, but I was more into Babe, you guys, and of course, Babe still takes the win for sure. But basically, you have Gordy here. He is a pig who sets out on a mission to find his family who's gone up north, and basically he wants to reconnect with them, and obviously they're on their way to the slaughterhouse and everything, but so he sets out on his little journey, a pig on an adventure, and he meets people along the way. He becomes like this instant celebrity because he saves this boy from drowning, and then he becomes the face, kind of the owner of this company and stuff. And it's just kind of his journey through being this business owner pig to reconnecting with his family, taking out the bad guys kind of thing. So, I mean, it was definitely a fun one, you guys. I definitely got some good laughs from it. The kiddos did too. But Babe is still my go-to. I still think Babe takes the win for, talking pig movies. But Gordy, definitely a fun one. I'd recommend this one. I mean, it's Disney, you guys, so, you can't really go wrong there. But yeah, you like talking pigs and just a pig on an adventure, then, give Gordy a go. All right, next one is Curse of Cactus Jack. This is one that I actually gotten from like Dollar Tree several years back. It had just been sitting in a box. I was like, you know what? This looks like a pretty good little family flick. Let's pop it in. You guys, this is so bad. So bad. Like, it's like you have these two kids. Their grandpa tells them the story of this, gold that's hidden somewhere that belonged to this Cactus Jack and stuff, and nobody's been able to find it. And what do you know? Grandpa has the keys, he has the map, and these two kids, brother and sister, they set out on this journey, like the easiest journey ever to find the gold and whatnot. And like, it was like, seriously, like everything just happened too easily for them. They figured things out too easily, and it just took the fun away from it, you guys. Like, wow. Like, it was, you guys, it was pretty bad. And then they kind of try to tie in a little bit of like faith related elements to it, which just, it didn't, I don't know, it just didn't work, you guys. But yeah, this was like the easiest treasure hunt ever. All right, last one I have here is Kicking and Screaming. Definitely a fun one. We were laughing so much with this film. Like, even hubby, he enjoyed this one. But yeah, Will Ferrell's character, he takes on a kind of team of misfits who are not very good at soccer, because growing up he was supposedly this like huge athlete who just kind of like sucked at every sport, but his father was one of those father figures who pushed him, wanted his son to play sports and everything, and he just wasn't good at it. And so he ended up having a son. The grandpa, the father, well, I mean his dad, he threw his son off the team because he just wasn't like very good either, whatever, I don't know. And so that's what kind of made him take on this other team, and then kind of him and his dad, soccer teams, go up against each other and stuff. And yeah, so there's just a lot of back and forth between Will Ferrell and his dad, who's played by Robert Duvall. Just a lot of like back and forth, like comedic moments between them. And then with the kids, like the kids are cute, you guys, little misfits and everything. And but it comes to the point where instead of it being about the fun, he kind of turns it into this whole competition thing. And so obviously his character kind of spirals out of control and whatnot, but it's loads of fun, you guys. There's just a lot of great comedy in here. I mean, it's Will Ferrell, you guys, so you can't go wrong there. I personally freaking love him, think he's absolutely hilarious, and there's not like a bad film that I've seen from him. But yeah, Kicking and Screaming, definitely recommend this one if you're just looking for a fun little family flick, some good comedy and stuff. This is it, and especially if you like soccer, So that is everything, you guys. Let me know if you have seen any of these films and your thoughts on them. I would definitely love to hear what you have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Join the family if you have not, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.